And welcome back to News Channel 3 Live at 9. It is a very popular topic on many daytime TV shows. A paternity test revealing that someone is the father of a child whom, of course, they won't claim. But there's a whole other side to the story. What if a man is falsely accused of being a father?
A totally different side of the story you probably haven't heard before. Memphis writer Marcus Matthews tells his story and others in the new book called I Am Not the Father. He says it is a wake-up call to teens as well as their parents. Marcus, good to have you here on Live at 9. You and I had been talking about a month or so ago about doing something about this book. Break down your story and why this really resonated with you personally speaking.
Well, my story started when I was 17 years old, a senior in high school at Westside High in North Memphis, Fraser. Met a young lady. We had a relationship, and she became pregnant, said I was the father of the child. Later, DNA revealed that I was not the father of the child in question. And you know, that was from my senior year in high school to my freshman year in college at the University of Memphis.
That was a lot to deal with, was it not?
Year?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, from the time when she told me that she was pregnant, through the pregnancy, and then the period where you take the test and wait on the results and go to court and get the results, yes, about a year.
What was the emotion that you went through from the point, I imagine, some panic was involved initially, but then what was the emotion when you found out you had been lied to all that time?
There was so many different things going. There were so many different things going through my mind. For one, the mother of the child in question, in my case, actually died before the results were given.
Wow.
So there was so much emotion while she was alive about, you know, how could this happen? You know, how am I going to be a teen father? What about college? And those thoughts. And then when she died, there was...
Now you're a single father.
Right.
Exactly. Well, actually...
You thought. Or did you know by that time?
Well, we took the test, and we had to wait 6 weeks for the results. And she died within that 6-week period.
Wow.
Yes.
Do we know why the lie was told? Did we ever get to the bottom of that? Did you talk with relatives, her family, or anybody about that?
Well, I talked to her family, and they were under the impression that I was the only guy that she was with. And that's part of the reason, a large reason why the book is so important, because we don't know what will happen. We don't know what the future holds. So, you know, if we're making these accusations and no one really knows the truth, the child is the person who suffers in the end. You know, looking at it 11 years later now, you know, that's a little girl whose mother died, and I don't know what her family did about going about
finding who the father was.
She may not know,
ever know.
Either of her parents, yeah.
Are you also finding this happens to a lot of other men, you know, out there as well? Because, I mean, we hear so many, you know, negative stories about so many men, especially black men, not wanting to step up to be fathers. But what else are you hearing out there?
Well, in the book, I interviewed 4 other men who were falsely accused of paternity, and these were guys who were ready to step up to the plate. One of the gentlemen actually had the child living in his home for the first year.
Wow.
And finds out after the first year that you're not the father of this child. And the guy who I've been with, you know, he wants to go ahead and step up.
How did he react?
My
Wait a minute, what?
And here the father has created, or the man who's not the father but thought he was the father, has created a bond with this child.
Yes, and what's interesting is he was the youngest of the interviewees in the book. He's the freshest. It happened to him within the last 2 years.
So what did he do?
He was broken, you know. He was broken.
He had to be on an emotional roller coaster, as they say.
Yeah. And when the book was released, he comes to my house to get a copy of the book, and he says, "Marcus, man, I'm still finding baby clothes around the house." You know.
And he doesn't get to see the baby at all?
No, not his child, and the biological father now is involved.
Is there one main thing you want readers to really learn or pick up through having a chance to check out your book?
I want them to start these conversations with their family, with their young sister, with that young brother, with that daughter or son, about how they communicate, about relationships. A lot of times we're afraid, or, you know, we're a little embarrassed about talking about, so who are you dating? Where are you going? What are you doing? And those are conversations that families really need to hold.
Would you advise people, too, to slow down the relationship so that if you're at that point where you might create a child, there is some trust, hopefully, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, is that part of the message?
Part of the message is just parenting and opening communication.
Yeah.
You know, it's so difficult to tell teens what not to do. It's so difficult to do that, and you know, we're living proof. I'm living proof because my mom, you know, you're talking on the phone, you're gonna build those desires, and something's gonna happen, and you know.
God made testosterone for a reason. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Marcus, what a book indeed. I Am Not the Father. Also want to take note that Marcus received the University of Memphis Newspaper Editorial Student of the Year Award. So congratulations to that.
And we can find you online, and the book is everywhere. Right?
MarcusLMatthews.com is my website. MarcusLMatthews.com.
Great book.